Valve confirmed that SteamOS is coming to the Ally X. Call of Duty gets a huge but tiny update. And Zotac Gaming drop the zone.
Oh!
Welcome back to 128 KB News. This is your quick bit of gaming news where we catch up in the week of gaming in a short news-like video. I've got to find a better catchline for the start of that.
And also, you dropped the bomb on the Zotac thing. You should have said Zotac Gaming are in the zone.
Oh, well, that's why you've got the big channel and I'm an idiot. So it's been a big week in gaming, but we are on the eve of an even bigger week with Gamescom happening as we launch this video. Yes. So this may butt up against some other stuff that we're putting out. Who knows what's going to happen, but I wanted to catch up on what has happened for those of you that have missed stuff. And we're going to start with Dead Cells. Yes,
why, what's happened?
A curveball. Dead Cells is finally dead, Andy. Well, I say dead. It's had its 35th
anniversary
major update. Not anniversary, no. Released in 1974.
I love it.
Dead Cells is finally dead. It has its final 35th and final major update. I can't believe it's had 35.
Insane, isn't it? 35
Pretty insane.
Updates. Like, what?
Yeah. It's had 35 updates, 5 DLCs, and 2 entire game studios.
Yeah, it's pretty mad. But like, how cool is that it's done that well?
It's amazing. Yeah. It was such an unexpected success as well for a game of that style and a game type that we both love as well. 2017 it launched. Mad. They've released the final update to it, and there's some kind of nice thank you notes in the Steam patch notes for the update as well.
Yeah, awesome.
It's great to see a game like that being supported for so long and doing so well as well.
Yeah, it's a really cool game.
And let's hope they go on to doing even cooler stuff afterwards as well. We did see them work on that Prince of Persia game, didn't we?
The Rogue something.
The Rogue. That was it. You were part of the alpha testing team for it.
Yes, I was, yes.
Well, there you go. There's some 128 KB law that was unnecessary. And talking of cool games of that ilk, have you heard of Replaced, Andy?
Yes. I can't wait to play this.
We got a 13-minute gameplay overview dropped of Replaced. Finally, we get to see this game in some really juicy detail.
Yes.
And it's one that I am so excited to finally see.
Yes.
We're going to have to wait until next year until we see the full release.
It's so worth it by what they've shown so far. It looks like it's definitely going to be worth it. Like the aesthetics, the combat style, like the 2.5D side-scrolly thing. Like it's all right up my street. Like yes.
Yeah. A beautiful pixel art aesthetic combined with like really cinematic camera work and gorgeous lighting. Like you say, a really great combat mechanic. And just like all the great aspects that are like a really cool kind of independent game.
Yes.
It is, you coined this just before we started recording, it is almost certainly like the perfect game for the Steam Deck OLED.
Oh, yeah.
It's like made for it.
Oh, yeah, because it's real dark looking. Like there's a lot of dark areas and stuff. And on that OLED screen, it's going to look lovely. And these kind of games shine on that 16:9 aspect ratio on the Steam Deck. You just get that little bit extra room to like see.
That 16:10. Yeah,
to see that environment and how cool it looks like. I can't wait to play it. Yeah, I really can't.
Yeah, we've got to wait until next year though.
Yeah, that's all right.
But if you're at Gamescom, you get hands-on with the levels they've shown in this gameplay overview as well.
I'm not at Gamescom. I'm sat here.
Yeah, you may have noticed we're not at Gamescom.
No one flew us out. Like, what are you playing at?
Next year, maybe?
Yes.
Fly us out, please.
Yes.
Okay. I want to get onto one of the bigger, juicier stories of the week. It happened a lot earlier in the week, actually, and that was kind of reconfirmation that Valve are going to bring SteamOS to the Ally X.
Wow.
Now, as you said earlier on in our conversation, this isn't new news.
No.
They said that this was going to happen anyway, but it has kind of come up again in some recent patch notes.
So there was a patch for SteamOS, and in there was a line, like something around the Asus ROG Ally was mentioned in these patch notes. So everyone was like, what? Like, it was something like something keys or something, and people didn't understand what that was about. And they thought, who knows? And then they basically confirmed, like, we are testing third-party support, because originally when the Steam Deck OLED, came out and everything, they said, we will release SteamOS as an OS so that rival companies can launch a product with SteamOS on there, or users can do it themselves on like the Lenovo Legion Go or the Asus ROG Ally X, that kind of thing, whatever system they want. And it seems like there was a massive dry spell where they just went silent on it, because clearly they were working on supporting their own devices, so everyone else doesn't matter, and that's fair enough. But now it seems like they're starting to start work on it. And, there's no set time, and they said, look, it's going to be a while yet, but at least we know it is actually coming.
I think it can only be a good thing. Firstly, for as we've seen with covering the Ally X a lot recently, in our community, there's been a lot of people wanting to install things like Bazai wanting that SteamOS kind of usability.
Yes.
I think one of the great things that will come from it's not just serving those people, but it'll also encourage Windows to pull their finger out.
Yes.
Encourage Microsoft, to pull their fingers out about Windows, because it's so needed an handheld optimized operating system for these handhelds.
Yeah, it would be cool. Yeah, they need to. And I understand why Microsoft have kind of like not yet, because we're only really a year into these like PC. Yeah. I know PC handhelds for the like hardcore, or the Air Neo and all those kind of devices have been around for years. I'm talking about like the mainstream stuff, right? So like the ROG Ally and stuff like that, and we're seeing more and more and more. But yeah, I understand why they've like backed off, because they've gone, we don't need to put all this like R&D like into these devices if no one's going to use them. But I think now there's so many people using them, there's like justified cause for them to actually do something now, especially if more people if they see like a decline in people using Windows on these devices, then they're going to have to do something to try and pull them back, I'm sure.
It's all right, though, because Microsoft have heard this, and they did a huge update. The Windows game bar.
The Windows 8 game
optimized.
bar. They brought it back. Yeah.
Yeah. What a massive and useful update that was, or is going to be.
It looks rubbish.
And we saw the initial footage of it. It doesn't look like the solution that we're looking for by any stretch. Yeah, exactly. Maybe a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's something. It's not something
it looked full of bloat as well.
I don't use Windows Game Bar. I don't use Game Bar. I don't need to. I mean, with the Ally X, Armory Crate does everything I want. And ultimately that's fine. All I want is a bloat-free Windows, not adding more bloat to it. Don't give me Windows 8 Game Bar. Take your crap off there. I want to see OneDrive removed. I want to see 365 removed, and unnecessary processes removed. Like stuff that shouldn't be enabled that are enabled for desktop, like personal computers, they should be disabled for gaming centric devices. And that should be like launched with that, not making users have to do it themselves.
Yeah, totally agree. So hopefully this news accelerates Microsoft's thinking, but it is Microsoft we're talking about. So, I mean, they're almost as bad as Nintendo at doing weird things. So they might just take forever in doing it.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
And talking of optimization, Andy, the most poorly optimized game in the world is
Call of Duty.
That's
Everyone
correct.
knows.
Well done.
9,000 terabytes.
Yes. But finally, for 9,000 terabytes, finally, we're seeing a huge, tiny update to Call of Duty. And I say tiny because this could be the update we've all been looking for that actually shrinks the size of Call of Duty to being able to fit on side one hard drive, maybe. Just one. Yes. Before I get on to what they are doing, I just want to say it comes off the back of the Xbox store page listing Black Ops 6 as a 310 gigabyte download.
Yeah, including that freaking HQ thing or whatever it was. It was very misleading because it just said 310 gigabytes. And obviously that is including that Call of Duty HQ app, but still, that's still overly excessive. Like, it doesn't need to be that big.
Well, it would mean that the only game you could play on, let's say, your Series S would be that's it, nothing else, just Call of Duty on there. Yeah. Maybe that's what Activision wanted.
Yeah.
That's their master plan all along.
Yeah, just keep them playing one game. Yeah.
Yeah. But after that, we're now finally seeing Activision optimizing Call of Duty to be a manageable size. The first big thing is that they are properly separating Warzone from Black Ops 6.
Finally.
Like, there's a proper separation.
Yeah, finally.
Finally. And I mean, for you, you're celebrating that because you hate Warzone.
Yeah, it's not my thing at all. Like I'd much TDM. That's all I need. If I could even uninstall the other like game types, if it was just hardcore TDM and that's all that I had, I just loaded up and it was that. I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah, arcade mode on.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that part of the optimization was kind of already available.
Yes.
As in, you could choose not to download. If you dug into the install, you could choose not to download Warzone or some of the other parts of the game. But they're making it more kind of obvious and user-friendly, that part.
Yeah.
They just say kind of blankly, a new user interface will be implemented, which I think is what you're referring to with the HQ.
Yes.
I think they're stripping that back.
Just get rid of it. Like, just delete it.
Yeah.
Literally go highlight, delete.
I will say, for new Call of Duty players, it's horribly confusing.
It's massively confusing, even for old school Call of Duty players.
It's just got this list of games. I'm like,
weird.
I don't even know what I'm...
Yeah, it's like I'm like in Xbox or whatever, and then I open HQ and now I'm like, well, now what? Like, there's all these random games and stuff. It's like, I don't care about Warzone. I don't care about any of the previous games. I've downloaded the latest game. So let's say Modern Warfare 3. That's all I want on there. I don't give a crap about anything else.
What about Modern Warfare 2?
Yeah, have this. Like, no, like, just get rid of it. If I want to play that game, I'll download it separately and have a different icon 100%. On my home screen. Like, I don't want it branded under one big thing. No.
They're going to organize... The file organization is going to be better optimized as well, which is kind of like a minor thing, but that should reduce the file size. But the big one that's actually quite interesting, especially for people like you who are playing on the Ally X a lot now, is that there's going to be a new texture optimization coming, meaning that you'll have a kind of a lower texture option.
Yes, yeah.
So if you're playing on a 1080 display or a 7-inch screen or whatever, you can have the lower texture. And has smaller file.
Yeah, I think every game should do this now. Do you know what I mean? I really do, because we've seen it with the likes of like Gears 5. I'm just using it as an example because we've been playing it and I know that it's there. Yeah. Like, if you go to on PC, the settings tab for the graphics, and you go from high to very high, it'll go, hang on, you need to download the like 4K texture pack or whatever, which is like another 30 gig, like something crazy, and that's off by default. And whilst that's kind of frustrating for people that have got like beefed up systems, it's really good for these handheld systems or people with lower end systems or just 1080p screens or whatever, that you then have to then install the bigger pack. So having that option in Call of Duty will let you reduce the file size substantially again, especially if it defaults to only installing the lower end and then forces you to like download the bigger pack afterwards. I'd prefer that. That would be really good.
I hope they implement that across the board as well. Yeah. So for consoles, that's a thing as well. So by default, it's the lower texture maps.
Yes,
and then you have to download the other patch. And my thinking with that was, firstly, for the PC handhelds, it's obviously huge, but also thinking forward that this Nintendo Switch 2 is going to have Call of Duty on it as well.
Yeah, it doesn't need them.
It's going to be really important for that. It doesn't need it. And probably couldn't run it anyway, so it's just totally unnecessary.
Yeah. It is unnecessary,
All right. Are you strapped in?
I am, yes.
Have you got your PC handheld ready? Are we going to pry the Ally X out of your hands finally, Andy?
No.
Because Zotac Gaming are in the zone. I need your catchphrase.
Yes. Got it. I love it. Yeah.
It's been announced. It's here. We know about it.
Yes.
In fact, I'm pretty sure you can register for pre-orders already as well.
Yeah, I think that's
no set price.
No.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
I'll start with the price as I'm talking about it. Its expected RRP is going to be £800 or $800 if you're in the US, which puts it exactly in line with the Ally X. That's pretty meaty.
Price. That's high.
So as we go through the specs of this device, it's worth bearing that in mind because obviously they're pitching themselves in exactly the same place.
They are rivaling the Ally X, exactly.
There's fors and against. There are some reasons you might choose this over the Ally X, but as we go through, you'll see that list is quite small.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's exciting to see another PC handheld hitting the market.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I'm all for like competition because it breeds creativity, you know, and I like seeing a totally unique looking handheld coming out, unlike the MSI Claw where they've gone, let's copy your homework, Asus. Do you know what I mean? Like, and taken the same shell, like they've literally taken the same thing basically and just punched more holes in the back. Like, nah, this thing looks like the Batman boomerang, and I love it. I think it looks really cool. It really
does. You said that earlier. I was like, it totally does those pointed bottoms.
I love it.
Okay, I'm going to go through some of the specs. You've got a 512 gig storage by standard. It's quite small, but you can put 2280s in it, so it's got a full-size NVMe drives, which is good.
Gen 4 as well.
16 gig of RAM. It's DDR5 7500
mega transfers.
Yes.
16 gig.
16 gig of RAM.
So last year.
As we saw the Asus ROG Ally, the original version, or the Z1 Extreme version, 16 gig of RAM was its big limiting factor of processing.
Yeah. It's not enough for a shared APU.
Yeah,
it's just not.
Yeah, you've got to run the system processes and the game off of that, so it's not enough to share. But it's got that anyway. You do have, and now this is a thing of beauty.
This is a big
let's just say from the start. A 7-inch AMOLED display, 120 hertz HDR. I want to get the nits brightness exactly right because you remembered it. Hold on, I was just going to find my notes. 800 nits. It's a beautiful, on paper anyway, a beautiful
It's going to be the nicest looking image on a Windows handheld we've seen yet. But there's a big caveat there.
Well, I mean, it might as well get straight to that point. Yes. Obviously, that there's no VRR with that because it's an OLED display.
Yeah.
So that's a huge negative. It's a huge drawback. So yes, the image in of itself will look beautiful. It'll be like you say, the best PC handheld looking image.
Yes.
And if you're running a slightly less intensive game, you're going to have an epically good time.
Oh yeah, totally.
But anything that you're going to get any variation in frame rates on that's going to chug at all.
Yeah, it's going to be stuttery. You're going to see screen tearing, which is one of the biggest problems. So yeah, I mean, again, you got VSync and other ways around it, but it's just not the same. Now I've experienced VRR, you cannot go back. You know, like
it's a necessity.
It really is.
It's a necessity for modern gaming now.
The next gen is gonna have to be OLED with VRR. You know, like
you do have Hall effect sticks and triggers, which is pretty awesome, and 2 stage triggers as well,
like on the Xbox Series X Core Elite thing or whatever it is, the Elite controller, where you've got like switches on the back, and you can literally hard stop where the triggers to press to turn it into essentially like a hair trigger, turns it into like a digital input. Yeah, from an analog. Very cool. You know, I really like the look of that. Cool. It looks very cool. So Hall effect sticks as well as triggers. Very good. Yeah.
And for those people that saw this as a negative with the Asus ROG Ally X, you do have dual trackpads as well, which is a really great thing, especially for a Windows handheld. Yeah. It's going to be really important.
It's going to be very cool.
We also have like rotary dials around the joysticks as well.
Yeah, so they'll be customizable.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they'll be like macroed, so you can, assign stuff to it. So that's pretty cool. If you could put like screen brightness or something on it. Like, get
my chubby fingers around the joysticks a bit weird.
That's the only thing, isn't it? Getting your Dorito fingers that are a bit greasy, like, and spinning them.
Totally.
Like, they're going to get a bit grubby and stuff. I mean, I like the idea. Again, I like this, the initiative they've taken to try something new. I reckon they could have even got away with 1 trackpad as well. Like, I don't even think they needed 2.
You don't need 2 trackpads. That's kind of overkill. Would you go on the 2-tone color from the black shell to the silver bumpers and triggers?
I kind of
sure they were colored, weren't they?
Yeah, they're just silver.
It's interesting, isn't it?
So like the whole thing's kind of like a dark gray, or it's a black, and it's just the renders that we're seeing. And then you've got like silver accents because there's now a lanyard hole, which is a really good spec.
Because one thing I always feel like I'm missing from my handheld is a lanyard.
Yeah. Well, if you're emulating Wii games, one thing when you're playing Wii is you throw the nunchuck or whatever and smash the telly.
That's true.
So that's a bit of safety there.
And because it's got a built-in front-facing camera.
It does, 720p.
Maybe the lanyard is for when you're streaming, so you can hold it at arm's length.
No, you can put like a selfie stick on it. Like, that's what it is.
That's it.
So when you're streaming from it, you can do that. That's good. I like that.
Okay, on to the other juicy stuff.
Yep.
It is an AMD Ryzen 8000 series, the 8840U.
Yes, yeah.
And the 780M graphics as well, obviously built in.
Which is the same we've seen in everything so far.
I'm surprised, you said this, I'm surprised they didn't go for something that's like just a bit ahead of where we are, because that's kind of a bit last year now.
They should have gone Strix Point, I think. I think they should, because right now they are literally using like the same. The 7080M is in the Z1, so we're finding that in the Lenovo Legion Go, the Ally 1, the Ally X, so it's all been done before. So the Strix Point is out now. Why not like delay it a little bit and charge way more, slap another $400 on it and make this the absolute balls to the wall, like best device to gain some traction. Whereas right now, you could buy an Asus ROG Ally 1 with 16 gig of RAM, right?
Yes.
For like half the price of this, literally half the price.
This, as we go through these specs that have been announced, that's the kind of overriding emotion I'm left with, is either it's too late to be releasing something with these specs at that price, or they should have totally gone like balls to the wall with it and charged $1,400, $1,200, whatever, and make it a real talking point, and like, this is the top end now.
Yeah, they should have.
Doesn't get better than
They
this.
should have gone real hard on it, I think. But
another kind of slightly disappointing thing is the TDP. It's a 28 watt maximum.
Yeah, 15 to 28 is what it lists in the spec sheet on their website, and it doesn't specify that it will go any further once it's plugged in. So to me, it is just a bracketed range. It says TDP, from 15 to 28. So I'm like, that's very strange. 65 watt input.
Yeah.
It's very, very strange. Yeah.
Yes, I say 65 watt input, and then only a 48.5 watt hour battery. That's like 8.5 watt hours more than the first Asus Ally. And that was the biggest complaint that device had, was that its battery life was terrible.
Yeah, it basically made it like useless without a power bank as a portable system. If you're sat at home next to an outlet, it's fine. But if you're actually wanting to travel and stuff with it, you need the 80 watt hours of the X. So going 48.5 just seems weird. And what's even weirder is I saw the weight first. So the weight of the thing, it's nearly 700 grams. So I was like, oh, it's going to have a big battery then. Nah, it's like 20 grams heavier than the Ally X, and the X has got an 80 watt hour thing in it. So it's like, what?
It must be the cooling that's adding that weight.
I think I actually think, sorry to cut you off, I think it's the joysticks and the shoulder buttons and triggers. I think they're metal.
Yeah.
They'll be like heavy, there'll be some sort of zinc alloy or something, and they'll be weighty.
Now, we've been very wrong about things in the past when we've just looked at spec sheets and releases about being dubious. It's really hard until you get hands-on to form a proper opinion about things. But on paper, it seems like this is too expensive for being released right now.
Yes.
800 if it is released at that £800 price point, it's too much. But that's unconfirmed at the moment, so that may actually be maybe wrong.
Yeah, but at the same time, this has got a lot of good stuff. It's just falls short. Like, if ignore the Ally X, let's pretend that wasn't on the market. This is looking great. 7-inch OLED, 120 hertz HDR, Hall effect sticks and triggers, adjustable little ringy doodads. You've got dual trackpads, the 20 to 80 support. 7,500 mega transfers per second RAM, which is great. Yeah. I know it's only 16 gig, but the transfers are high. So it's all looking very good. It's just when you look at the latest release from Asus, it's falling short if that price point's right. If it launches at like $500, which it won't, then you'll be laughing.
Oh, it's an easy. Well, then is it an easy purchase? Would you buy that over the Asus ROG Ally Z1 Extreme?
Yeah. Yeah. I probably would. But the only thing that we're not talking about here, and I'm sorry, Zotac, is the software is probably going to suck. So,
well, again, we've been wrong about that in the past.
We have been
with Asus.
Yeah, we have
stuff.
been. That is very true. I've had bad experiences with Asus software over the past 20 years, and the software that's on the Ally has blown me away. Armory Crate is actually good for once. So maybe Zotac have done the same thing. I just feel like, and I might be wrong, but I feel like Asus probably have a bit more money behind them to be able to develop the software side to the next level. Like we've seen, like, let's say the Lenovo Legion Go, that gets updated like once every 10 years, whereas the Ally's always getting updated. So
it's very true.
Asus are very hard on supporting. And who knows if Zotac are actually going to care? Do you know what I mean? Is it just going to be like, there you go, and they never update it? Or is it going to work?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Are we going to have to be installing something like SteamOS to like really utilize this device? Like, I don't know. I'm excited by it because I love that they've totally done something like innovative. Do you know what I mean? Like something
especially
totally
that
different.
screen.
Yeah.
The screen's going to be beautiful.
I just feel like it's a little bit too late. This should have launched alongside the original Ally,
Yeah, it does feel like a year too late for this, but we will see when it drops. I've asked their PR department to get hands on. We'll see if they'll let us do it. You'll see it on the main channel if that's the case. Andy will get his grubby mitts all over that
fingers.
one. His Dorito fingers.
Yes.
But let us know in the comments what you think, if you're excited for the Zotac gaming zone.
I am.
And are you as excited as me for Replaced?
Yes.
The game, that is. I said right at the start of this. Let me know
Who's
down in the
being
comments. And
replaced?
whilst you're down there digging around... You are.
No!
Sorry. Bye. Whilst you're down the dig around, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. And what else should they do, Andy?
Watch another video from us. Yeah. Watch another video.
Smashed between our faces. Until next time.
Bye.